do you balance short-term economic goals and with sustainability-based long-term investments, and how to justify the ROI on sustainability investment?
In 2019, we made a decision to actually cease financing to coal-fired power plants. But when we made the decision, it was not without hesitation, because in the context of Southeast Asia, you still need coal-fired power plants, and it also comes with a revenue stream when we do it, right? But after we gave it up, we also realized that by letting go one part of the business, then you actually have the time, the resources, and financial resources, human resources, etc., to try to dedicate your efforts into something else. And for us, that was renewable energy. So we started looking at the UK, Europe, US, and different areas outside of our usual ASEAN footprint. We grew our portfolio, and then we realized that actually the income that we had to forego out the thermal space was actually nothing compared to the opportunity that we uncovered as a result.
When you look into the journey, right, of the company, sometimes not everything is quantifiable. Right? Sometimes things are less quantifiable. And interesting to say that there are big impacts on the company today of being or not being sustainable, or being or not being in this journey. Right? And for sure is our share price is very much impacted on that today, because the investors are very much looking into that angle. How green is this company? What is this journey of this company? So there are things that is not quantifiable, but there are a lot of benefits for the organization. There are a lot of technologies today. The question as well is, what is the payback of the adoption of those technologies, right? And many things that is related to the sensors, and many things is an IoT platform, how that converts and generates the right data for your effectiveness. I mean, if I take the example of our building, I mean, the payback of the building was 3.5 years. So that means I think reasonable payback in the sense. And we do not recommend as well to anybody to adopt technology that there is no payback. I think we are not NGO, right? We are a company that has to generate profitability. We are trying to use more and more renewable energy, right? That means more renewable energy means as well the energy is decentralized. So that means the source of energy is not only one place, but will be in several places. And sometimes we have solar in HDB, and how you manage that energy to give the energy to the home, or to give the energy to the EV car charging system, or to give the energy for any other things in the infrastructure of the HDB. And you need to have a right intelligence. You need to have the right information and data to utilize in a proper way, and make sure that your car is not charged or is being charged in the full potential, full power, while your kitchen is not working properly, right, in the dinner times. So the technology needs to be meaningful and needs to have a payback.
I think from a bank's perspective, this is going to be massive investment and banking opportunities. In the case of China, 2022, China added capacity when it comes to solar and wind of 125 gigawatt. And this year is projected to be 160 gigawatt. And just by a conservative estimate, 125 gigawatt in China last year would account for about $125 billion in investments. And this year is going to be $160 billion in investments. And that is only the solar and wind space in one country, China. And if you expand that beyond China to the global context, and yet you expand it beyond renewable energy to manufacturing, to real estate, to shipping, aviation, and every other sectors that need to decarbonize, you will start running into trillions of dollars.
I think most of you going to Sentosa will be familiar with the USS staycations and so on and so forth, but we do have a very thriving, 8 biohabitats on the island, ranging from coastal forest to secondary forest, and we have 10% of the heritage trees in Singapore on Sentosa. So all the policies and that we do to protect the biodiversity is a choice that we make because we want to be known as a globally sustainable destination. I wanted to give one example of a very good experience we had recently by curating tiny homes on Lazarus Island. Actually, it speaks to the future trends of ecotourism on the island. I think the challenge we are constantly thinking is how do I protect, but how do I allow the enjoyment for guests so that it's not a back of house, always a back of house, because a lot of carbon issues and all that are back of house. But tourism, we have to engage the guests. So you have to bring it front of mind. And how do you do that is the challenge.
One challenge I see is that Asia currently has got 5,500 coal-fired power plants. And you want to retire all of them, it's going to require a lot of capital. It's going to require a lot of banks to come on board. Banks are also very conscious about the reputational risk. And sometimes banks are also driven by what happens or what we see on the first page of Business Times. So while we might say that taxonomy says that this is transitional, but at the end of the day, it's also subject to the opinions of the NGOs, to the media and think tanks, etc. The third challenge I see is the taxonomy does not currently address finance emissions. So for example, in the case of OCBC, we are committed to net zero. So in the power sector, we will say by 2040, we will hit net zero in terms of our emissions intensity. And it will certainly not help if we start adding coal-fired power plants into our portfolio. So how do we address that? The taxonomy will help to a certain extent, but we will actually need ecosystem, industry players to come together to solve this very big problem.
Schneider is already on the variable salary that varies from 20 to 40 or up to 50% of many executives in our organization. 20% of the weight of that variable salary is already on the sustainability impact. So, and it's very visible and very transparent because we do report every quarter, and annually we do issue our achievements on the sustainability goals. And that is not only about energy, it's about environmental, it's about social, it's about governance. And that means, we're talking about inclusiveness, we are talking about ethical governance, we are talking many other angles that goes beyond energy.
I think that we pay people competitively, right? I think that's fundamental. The more important thing is how do you translate that and get your whole organization energized to be able to drive a culture that lasts you beyond that 1-2 years. How do you connect that bigger objective with the purpose to get more from your staff? Yeah, because if you have passionate individuals, I think you can run a lot faster. In our area of business, actually the biggest needle mover is actually the consumer behavior. More can be done about consumer education, consumer behavior. Because, as I said, in the hospitality business, there's a lot of expectation. So you can ban this, ban that, and in the end, business, still, for example, we were engaging hoteliers and say, can you do away amenity kits in every hotel room? And that adds up tremendously. But there's high expectation. So how do we, evolve and make the transition holding hands with the consumer and say, lower expectation a little, join us, we make the step forward, we make the decision, but don't complain.
For anybody that is looking to do it now, unlike the time when we started doing it, there's actually a lot of knowledge out there at the moment, whether you're talking about literature, NGOs, think tanks, banks, consultants. It's a very developed area now. You just click onto your competitor's website, you can immediately see what they are doing, the actions they are taking, right? So I would say, if you are not there at the moment, be a quick follower. And it's not difficult to be a quick follower at all in the current context.
We are in a journey, and in fact, we have to look forward as well. And there are a lot of things to be done, and a lot of things to be done together with the new generation. And that's exactly our company objective as well, to talk with the ecosystem, to talk with partners, to talk with the community, to make sure that we can accelerate this journey because it's for benefit of all of us, right? And especially for the next generation.